Alright, so this is just going to be a quick Bitcoin update to go over my levels and my plans. So since my last video, we got this move to the upside. We grabbed the liquidity from all of these highs up here, even that wick right there, but we did not grab liquidity from this high, which is a very significant high. I have it marked out market structure over there because looking at it on some time frames, you could say that it's a market structure point. A, it is internal, so it doesn't matter too much, and B, it's, a little funky in my opinion because, well, I'll just kind of show you. So we had a break in the bearish trend right here by breaking this last lower high, and then we started an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs, and you could technically say that we got the break of structure right here. I drew that in poorly, but we put in higher high, higher low, higher high, and then lower low. But it's a little close. It's tough to call it, structure when the low and the high are two candles apart. So you could also just ignore that and say that this down here was the last lower high. And if that was the case, then this was the break of structure. And then we just had lower high and lower low. So you could look at this as a market structure point. Again, it is just internal, it's a range. So I'd say it is somewhat key. Not exactly the most key market structure point, but it's something. And we did front run it. We didn't take it out, which is interesting. And I mean, that could mean a few things. It could mean that, price wants to put in a lower high and then a lower low to continue the downtrend. Price didn't want to take out the last lower high. But also, it would have been more bearish if we had taken it out and we SFP'd it. If we SFP'd this high, that would give us, more of a reason to come back down for this low. So you could look at it as maybe we are front running it to kind of consolidate down here and then look to break out of it later. But I do still think this is a significant high, and I would be interested to see what happens at this high if we get another move up there, to see if we SFP it. We could now grab liquidity from this high and this high. And in terms of, local resistance, the only other level that I'd be watching is this high. There's not really much else for resistance. We already took out most of the liquidity, it seems, and we can actually go to Coinalyze and see how many trades got stopped out around those highs. And interestingly, doesn't seem like there was a lot. Doesn't seem like there was many trades that got stopped out there at all, at least on Bybit, which is very interesting. We did see a lot of people longing at the top, so, potentially meaning there was a lot of trapped traders up here, and we did see some of them get stopped out right here. Pretty much all the people that longed the top, it looks like, got stopped out immediately after because open interest came right back down to where it started. But yeah, other than that, there's not much on Coinalyze. We didn't see a lot of liquidations there. So since we didn't stop out a lot of trades on that move to the upside, and we kind of already stopped out all the trapped traders, it's not looking as bearish, honestly. It would have been a lot more bearish if we saw a lot of liquidations up here. But yeah, for resistance, I'd really be watching these highs and this high. This is like the high of the range, and I have been watching this high for a potential SFP into this key support resistance level that we have up here. A very key support resistance level in the larger range. And, you could call this more of a zone of support and resistance. Like maybe I'd put a box around this line. Because, looking throughout this range, this area has been very key resistance and support many times. So, it is interesting that we have a wick kind of front running this area. We could potentially SFP into this zone. And, if we SFP the highs of the range, that would be pretty bearish. That would give us a reason to come back down to the lows of the range. So in terms of resistance levels right now, really I'm just watching these highs. And, any other short ideas, I would be looking locally, which I did actually take a local short right here. I'll go over that at the end. And I would honestly really like to see us get a move down towards the lows of the range again, because we got some very interesting confluence down around the value area low. So the golden pocket of this fib is lining up right around the point of control. It's also lining up with the daily open and PDPOC. So there is a zone of confluence around here. However, I'm not super interested in it. I am much more interested in the lows of the range because, well, one, I think the confluence down here is better, and also when I'm trading the context of a range, the point of control is usually not an area that I'm super interested in. I'd be much more interested in the lows or the highs of the range, and that doesn't mean price won't react from this level. If we see some kind of confirmation like bullish divs coming into this area, it could make for decent trade, but maybe it only ends up being like a lower high in this downtrend before we get a move down towards the lows of the range. Because usually, once you see bearish confirmations at the highs of the range, you tend to visit the lows of the range. I mean, you can kind of see that here. We got bearish confirmations up here. We were forming divergences, and eventually we got to move to the low of the range, but we did bounce from the point of control. We got a nice reaction from there, but eventually we came down to the lows. And from the lows, we came to the highs. Then we got to move back down to the lows. And, we bounced around point of control for a little bit here. Got to move up around the highs. Didn't exactly reach the highs, but, more times than not, price likes to rotate from the lows of the range to the highs of the range and vice versa. So those are typically the areas I'm most interested in trading. And at these lows, we have what I would call a very interesting level of confluence right around 26,749. We have an untapped daily and the weekly open, as well as the 786 of this fib. So an untapped daily and the 786 are usually two very reactive levels. So I would be surprised if price came down and just sliced through this area. I would expect us to get some kind of reaction off this level, especially if we're forming divergences on the way down there, if we're kind of forming some kind of market structure. I would absolutely expect a reaction here. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but usually when you get confluence like this, you tend to see a reaction there, especially being at the lows of a range. There is also some liquidity that we could grab down here. There's some wicks, so could potentially look for like an SFP, look for price to claim some of these lows. So yeah, I'd say I'm very interested in this zone right here. The previous day value area low is right there as well. So I'd say this is probably the area I'm most interested in. Also, for some more context, right now price is way outside of yesterday's value area. And since we are trading in a range, that kind of gives me more confidence in saying there's a high likelihood that we will soon get a move back into yesterday's value area. Just given everything, we kind of saw some bearish confirmations up at the highs of the range. We're way outside of the previous day value area. And if we do not find a bottom at this level, then I would next be watching this zone. I think I talked about this in yesterday's video, but maybe I didn't. But there is a 30-minute order block down here. Let's go to the 30-minute and check this out. So, yeah, that's looking like a clean order block. Purple in between two blues, and then it came up to break structure. And we do have a wick front running this level right here. So, that sets us up for a potential SFP into this order block. And I would be looking for something like that as well. So that's about it for my levels right now. I'm mostly interested in the highs or the lows of this range, as you can tell. And I did take one short right here that I want to go over. And the reason for that was simply because we saw some absorption. After getting this liquidity grab, or at least taking out wicks, it doesn't seem like we grabbed too much liquidity, but we took out these wicks up here. We even had like a local SFP of the highs as we took out that last wick. So we saw some bearish confirmations at the value area high of the range. We also kind of rejected from this daily level. And then from there, we started to form some absorption. Right here, you can see open interest and CVD increasing as price was putting in lower highs. And so when I saw that absorption, I entered somewhere around here, put my invalidation above this high, and These kind of absorption plays are a little more risky in my opinion because you're not seeing absorption from the actual high. As you can see, Stevie D put in a lower high from the actual high. So you can't really put your invalidation up above this high if you're trading this absorption, because the invalidation for this would technically be above this high. So I treated this one as more of a scalp. I TP'd earlier, I TP'd down around these lows, and so far I de-risked the trade. I still have a little bit of risk on it. I still have my invalidation up above this high, but I locked in some profits and decreased my position size a little bit. Alright, well, that's about it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next video.